Hi guys, so in today's video I'm going to show how I'm going to turn all these, well, unwanted, lonely Warhammer 40k sprues that we've all got sitting around, well that's if we've painted the miniatures anyway, and turn them into this, a Gargantuan Squiggoth. Yeah, I love this. This is probably one of my favourite builds that I've done in a long time. Absolutely loved making this guy. Nice, big, chunky, and released for orcs. And as we all know, yeah, I absolutely love orcs. So yeah, guys, you heard me right. I've turned these sprues and nothing else into this. Well, maybe some glue and some paint. But other than that, yeah, this is 100% made from sprues. So to get started, like always, I print off the full size sort of reference picture. And as you can see, this one is 2 A4 sheets. So he's quite a size. So as always, yeah, go on Google, find the image of what I'm looking for, and then find out the size and print it off. So in my last video, I made this little knight, although he was quite large. But yeah, compared to this Squiggoth, he's minute. So this is a nice beast of a thing. And as always, yeah, I like to start with the feet and sort of work my way up. Just as, well, I just find it easier working from downwards, upwards, from the bottom upwards. You guys know what I mean. It's early. I'm doing this voiceover. So with always, yeah, the main thing I like to do with these things is a good old frame. Framework, I say this in every video, but it's so true. Even if you just made frames from the sprues, you can make some awesome terrain and bits and pieces. So yeah, always use the sprues. Make terrain, guys. If nothing else, make some of this sort of stuff. But obviously I like to go a bit further than just making terrain, and that is by making, well, whatever you guys can suggest, I'm certainly going to have a go at making. So yeah, guys, let me know in the comments. Anything you want to see me make, by all means, let me know. Yeah, bigger the better, I kind of say, because it is easier making bigger things. Especially things that have, well, as you see, obviously this Squiggoth, he's kind of like a big elephant. So that's one other good thing with the sprue goo. You can easily make that look like, well, skin. So that's exactly, obviously, what I'm going to be doing in this one later on. So yeah, making the framework. Again, when I look at the thing I'm going to make, I kind of break it down and sort of try and see it, well, from the inside. So as you can see here, yeah, marking out on the picture that I've got, the sort of framework I'm going to make. So I want to make it, obviously, so it is nice and sturdy, so it's not going to sort of crumble on me. And yeah, just try to work out like a boxy frame. Because obviously with the sprues, you can kind of bend them a bit to make round sort of bits. But yeah, the best kind of frame you can really make is a nice sort of square boxy frame. And there we go. Yeah, so there's the front 2 legs kind of made. As I say, so I've got the rough sizes of, well, what a Gargantuan Squiggoth should be. So I'm going to make this as accurate as I can. Obviously, I don't have the real one to sort of copy. But as I say, that's why I'm going to go from my sort of my image there and say all the dimensions I've got. So yeah, hopefully if someone does want to have this, because I'm going to put this up for sale, guys. A lot of these things I am building now, I will be selling. So if you fancy owning a Gargantuan Squiggoth solely made from sprues, yeah, check out links down below, as I will be probably sticking this on my my eBay account. So yeah, if you do have a real one or brought one, you can compare the size. But as I say, this should be, yeah, not far off. So the back legs, yeah, they're done too. So say this reference picture, I'm pretty much going to copy it sort of exactly. The front sort of bit I'll do a little bit differently, but in all, yeah, it does like this. So as you can see, yeah, sometimes I am using normal sort of super glue, just because obviously it does dry a lot quicker. I do prefer using the cement glue because obviously it does kind of dissolve the sprue or the plastic into itself, so you do get a better bond. But sometimes, yeah, a bit of instant super glue does work the trick. And then yeah, I say I make a kind of like a basic frame, but then sometimes I need to go around and just sort of refine it a little bit because it's obviously a bit too kind of boxy. And there we go. Yeah, this is sort of the basic framework I've got. Although it kind of looks like a Minecraft piggy, or the skeleton of one anyway. But yeah, so this is kind of what I start with. I say this is how I kind of visualize most things when I'm making them. I visualize it as a as a box. Today's video is sponsored by Only Games Crate, and they're part of My Mini Factory. And if you're into 3D printing and obviously miniatures, then yeah, I'm sure you'd have heard of My Mini Factory. But Only Games Crate is awesome because this is a way you can get hold of all those lovely miniatures you can sort of see on My Mini Factory, but without having to have a printer. So yeah, you can sign up for £10 per month plus P&P, and each month they produce free unpainted miniatures for you from their featured designer. And February, it's Heresy Labs, and you have a combination of going for sci-fi or fantasy, which is awesome because, well, they're both genres that I love. The miniatures are absolutely amazing. You'll have seen me show you these in a few recent videos, well, a video every month. I absolutely love these things. So if you subscribe, you also get a discount code of 20% off their featured designer store on Only Games, which is pretty awesome. And being a subscriber, you also get their painting tutorial videos showing how to paint their miniatures from that month, which is great. So check out the link in the description to get more information, and yeah, any questions you can have, well, they'll be there and happy to answer them. So now the framework is done, it's time to make the the all-important skin for this little beastie. And yeah, using good old sprue goo. So anyone who hasn't done this before, this is basically a jar full of acetone. Basically it's the stuff that you use to sort of clean glass and take, well, nail polish remover. You cut up your sprues, put them in the glass, leave them overnight, so we're talking, yeah, a good 12 hours or more, and then your sprues dissolve into this good old sprue goo. So this stuff, pretty awesome. So I will say now, guys, I never sort of put up any sort of health and safety stuff because I like to think you guys use a bit of common sense. So this stuff does have a bit of an odour to it, so you want to use it in a well ventilated area, and as always, just take your own precautions when using stuff, guys. So this stuff, I've left it for about 4 hours, so it started to sort of dry, as in the acetone evaporates, and then the sprue goo turns back into, well, it will turn into a hard plastic. But as you can see, at the moment, it's not hard. Madam. I say it does take at least 12 hours or more. This has only had about 3 or 4. So it's starting to evaporate. It's nice and easy to sort of handle because it has got like a big skin on it. And say, yeah, this stuff is still soft. So rather than trying to keep these nice and flat to make, well, smooth flat panels, as you can see, I'm going out of my way to rough the things up, but you get this awesome looking, well, it's kind of like an elephant skin, which is pretty cool. So one side seems to be a bit sort of rougher than the other. That's the underneath side, because that's where the last bits of acetone sort of evaporate from, and sometimes they leave little potholes. Generally you don't like them when you're trying to make a nice flat panel, but in this case it does help and adds to the look of the skin that I'm going for. As some of these potholes look like, well, this creature's had a few wounds to it. As you'll have seen from the little clips at the beginning, yeah, there is some sort of like sores on this dude. So yeah, this is pretty cool. And then it is as a case of kind of wrapping it around the framework. And the great thing is you can sort of overlap this stuff, because we'll be using more sprue goo to sort of help fill in, well, any gaps, cracks, nooks and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it is a case of making loads of these panels. So that's why whenever I do make things with sprues, guys, it does take a lot longer than, well, making things with anything else, because you have to obviously dissolve sprues and then wait for the sprues to undissolve. I'm not sure if that's a word or not. So yeah, so these videos do take a lot longer than any others. So guys, yeah, if you can help me out, obviously I do love making things with sprues, but say because they do take so long, it means I don't get as many videos out as I would normal. So I do need your help in, well, sharing my videos, so I get more views per video, as opposed to making, well, 3 or 4 videos a week. These ones, well, yeah, it's typically 1 a week, if not, well, 10 days or more. And I know a lot of you guys say you leave your comments down below. Let me know what you want to see me make next. And I know one of the comments is for the big old Titan. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but the huge big thing. And yeah, I'll happily have a go at making one of them. So yeah, guys, there we go. A challenge for you as well as for me. If you can get me to 100,000 views on this video, then I will start making the Titan. So yeah, with his toenails here, as you can see, I've got some sprues, glued them together, put a bit of sprue goo over them. So these have been left for, I don't know, these were left for like a couple of days. So these toes are nice and solid, nice and hard. But even then, you can still cut this stuff. Obviously, because it is still sprue, so it is still plastic. So whilst it is hard, yeah, it's still easy to sort of cut with things. And you will see me later on using a little hacksaw blade to cut into this. So that's another great thing with these sprues and the sprue goo. Yeah, it does turn into a hard plastic again. So this little Squiggoth, when I hold him, he feels like, well, it feels like a plastic toy. because, well, he is made of plastic. So even though obviously half the time I'm messing about with this sprue goo, which is really sort of soft and sticky, so don't hold it with your hands until it's at least sort of dry for a good 4 hours or more. But yeah, it does then eventually turn back into, well, rock hard plastic, which is awesome. So yeah, this is what I was saying about being able to just fill in little gaps here and there. Yeah, fill them in. But again, once they are filled in, then what I do is I keep sort of prodding and poking the sprue goo just to give it that texture, so it isn't sort of smooth or anything like that. So yeah, again guys, back to this video, making, if you can, get it to 100,000 views. I will start building the Titan, because it is going to be such a large build. It's going to take me a long time. I'll probably do it in a few videos, so I can make the sort of the torso, the head and the body in separate videos. But I will also need sprues. Lots of you lovely guys have been sending in sprues. I'll pop your names down below. Across the bottom of the video here. So yeah guys, if you've got any sprues you want to donate, obviously by all means, I like showing things that you can do with sprues, and if you guys make things with sprues, absolutely awesome. But if you don't have the time or don't want to make things with sprues, yeah, and you got loads that you don't really need, then yeah, I would love to have them. I can't pay for postage or anything, but if you're happy to send them to me, yeah, that would be absolutely awesome, because, well, if I'm going to make a Titan, I am going to need a shed load more sprues, because, yeah, it's going to be one huge big frame. So, yeah, to say this stuff, yeah, even though I've made the frame, sometimes there are bits I need to sort of, like, add on quite a bit of. So, as you can see here, loads of sprue goo, but, yeah, lots of prodding, pushing, and all the rest of it. You can get a nice bit of texture to this. So, what I generally do is I leave it then for, say, half an hour, so it started to, say, so the acetone evaporates, it starts to sort of dry and go back to being a plastic. But then you can still sort of prod it and kind of move it that little bit. So yeah, you can still get more of that sort of skin looking texture, which I think is just absolutely amazing with this stuff. Yeah, so I can make, well, robots and all sorts, say especially creatures like this. So yeah, I'm going to make some Tyranids, I think, next, but not just little ones, the sort of the big old size ones, I think. I do enjoy making these larger builds. Definitely seem to have more fun with this sort of stuff. So yeah, add in a few bits. So it's like hip here. Just want to sort of pad that out. So I've got one of my sort of panels. It's all nice and creased up. Folded it up. Making like a little tortilla here. Filling it up. The reason I'm filling it up is because even though this stuff will go hard, because it is quite thin, these panels. Say this one's only about 2mm thin. If I didn't fill it with stuff, then yeah, eventually, even though it does go hard, you might still be able to prod it. So yeah, this sort of half of him done. So I thought I'd do one half first, just so I could sort of check how I like it, and then obviously go and do the other half. Then I kind of noticed his back foot, because it is kind of like bent and raised, it looked too big. So yeah, good old little hacksaw here from Green Stuff World. And yeah, this stuff just can be cut. Again, that's what I always say. I love sprue stuff. Sprues, because it is like a plastic, or obviously it is a plastic, not like a plastic. Yeah, it can be cut, drilled, sanded, all the rest of it once it has sort of hardened and the acetone has evaporated. So yeah, simple little bit of surgery here on his heel. So again, this is the reason why I want to do half first, just so I could make sure it looked, well, how I wanted it. And then it was just a case of duplicating what I'd done on one half onto the other. So yeah, it's a quite time-consuming build this, but yeah, a whole lot of fun. And the other great thing I know with this sort of texture on his skin, I know that's going to look great when painted, because obviously it will be the good old case of slap chop painting. So for the top bit, yeah, because obviously I'm making this with sprues, and most of the time I am trying to make it look so it's like not made of sprues, but I really fancied just leaving some bits so you can actually see. Well, all the kind of the writing on the back of these sprues. So that's why the top half, the outer edge or the outer part of the top half of the box, I have covered with a lot of sprue goo. So I've tried to get it like as smooth and flat as possible. But the inside and say these bottom bits, I'm leaving, well, just as sprues. Just to say, it would be fun to sort of look at this thing and think, wow, this isn't made of sprues. But then when you look at the top bit, it's like, oh yeah, because you can still see the sprues. And all the writing by Games Workshop on the back of it, which is pretty cool. So as you see, yeah, I could have just measured each one of these out, laid it on. But for time, it was so much easier just putting loads on and then just cutting them all off afterwards. So with the panels or the side little bits, 2 sprues glued together, and then yeah, get some of the old sprue goo. So this sprue goo I'm using here, this one is sprue goo Mark II. So rather than putting the sprues into a container with acetone, this is a, well, it's got butyl acetate. And then those smart people out there know butyl acetate is basically, it's cement glue. But rather than buying the small little, well, cement glue that you can see that I've got here, yeah, this stuff, I bought 5 litres of it for £17. So yeah, a big saving, because these small little jars are, well, they're about between about £4 and £8. So yeah, I've got an absolute ton of cement glue. But yeah, when you put the sprues in cement glue, it then turns into a very much more liquidy look. And the great thing with that sort of stuff is, well, you can sort of paste that on and get a smoother look, which is just pretty cool. So that's great for panels as well. So then all these little round discs, yeah, these are just cut straight off the sprues. So when I get the sprues, what I generally first thing I do is cut the inner bit out, keep the outer edge, because obviously that's the nice long sort of straight bits of sprue, but then cut off all the nibbly knobbly bits. And by that, obviously anything that's sticking out. And part of that is obviously those little round discs, which are great for, well, great for large rivets. So he's coming on really well. So I just want to make the panels at the top now. And as I said earlier, yeah, the panels on the inside, I'm going to leave sort of as they are, so you can see that they are made from sprues. But on the outer edge, yeah, I will be covering these in the good old sprue goo Mark II, just try and get them thinner. So with the sprues, there's obviously a thinner edge at the top and a wider edge at the bottom. So if you alternate these, it means you can glue these together, and then obviously they interbind a lot easier. And as you can see, yeah, so these sprues, I've tried to cut off as much of the nibbly knobbly bits as I can. Sometimes there are still little bits of a gap between them, but say that's fine, because we will be using the sprue goo to sort of paste over the top to try and get these as flat as looking as possible. So I guess the big question as I sit here and edit this video is, what do I make next week? As always, guys, yeah, leave comments down below. I do read them all. Apologies that I don't respond to everything. But yeah, I do read them all, especially obviously the ones where you guys are suggesting more things for me to make, especially when it's things that I've, well, never heard of or seen. And this Squiggoth is something that, well, yeah, I'd kind of heard of, but I'd never seen this one. So yeah, so it was fun making something. Again, though, guys, though, if there's something you want to see me make that isn't actually made by Warhammer stuff, as in it might be in one of the books or a reference made to something, but yeah, Games Workshop don't actually make the miniature, again, let me know, because that'd be even more fun to make something that everyone knows about but isn't actually out there. As long as there's reference pictures, so sort of what it is I need to make, as in the front and sort of the back sort of views of it, as well as obviously the size. So that's one thing I always sometimes struggle with, is finding sizes for certain things. So if you guys do suggest something and you do know how big it is, yeah, if you can let me know that as well. As I say, sometimes I do struggle finding places, although Reddit seems to be a great place to find sort of rough sizes as well. A lot of people ask questions there, and yeah, get answered by things. So yeah, with this stuff, I say it is still nice and easy to cut, even though this is sort of going back to being good old hard plastic. But yeah, simple enough to cut with me little snips here. So with these panels, obviously I have put some sprue goo over these, but I do go over, and then once it's obviously dried for a few days, I go over and give it like a second coating. So you will notice, as you can look at this video, some of these panels you can still obviously clearly see they are made of some sprues. But yeah, I do wait for it to sort of harden and then give it like another coat or two, just to sort of try and get it, well, as smooth as I can. But this is the other reason why I do love making orky things, because, well, they don't need to be neat, precise or clean or whatever. Sometimes the more battle damaged, yeah, the better the things look, more sort of realistic. And again, using loads more of the little round discs that I've cut off as good old rivets. So yeah, I do have like I have several bits boxes with loads of bits and pieces. So the sprues, everything is used. I don't really throw anything away, just in case I can use something for, well, something else. So I do have some sort of relatively flat panels, and these are nice sort of 2mm thick ones. They were made from the Mark II sprue goo. The only thing with the Mark II sprue goo, it does take a whole lot longer to dry. Say the normal sprue goo, yeah, you're looking at least 12 hours or more. But yeah, Sprue Goo Mark II takes forever. It's about 3 days. So the other good thing is with the Sprue Goo, you can put it into molds. And that's exactly what I did here to make these sort of pointy triangular bits. Yeah, they are put in a mold. And you'll see me use this in a recent video. But this is Flexi Mold. It's a reusable mold stuff, which is great because it means I can mold something, take some pieces or some casts from it, but then reuse that mold to make, well, more molds. All you got to do is stick it in the microwave and yeah, jobs are good. Right, apologies for how this looks, guys. And I didn't really want to sort of show too much of me manipulating this because it just makes me crack up. This is obviously his tail, although it does look like it could be a nose or possibly something else. But yeah, a bit of manhandling, and I soon made that look nice and sort of nice and textured for his tail. Nice big chunky tail, although I still look at it and laugh because obviously it doesn't look, well, it looks like something else. Anyway, we'll quickly cover that up, although he says trying to cover it up with something that again looks like it's well, shouldn't be on this channel. But there you go. So it's like a tail shield, I guess. Oh guys, sorry, I laugh at the simplest of things. Yeah, sometimes I'm easily pleased and well, I laugh at myself. But yeah, so good old panel. Yeah, giving it a good old cut. So you can cut these things with scissors. Yeah, sprues, sprue goo, panels. Absolutely love this stuff. Because I honestly think you can make, or I can have a go at making absolutely anything and everything from this. So yeah, guys, whatever ideas you've got, let me know in the comments. I will be doing some more terrain videos, as obviously there are a lot of great stuff you can make with this nice and simple, easy terrain pieces. So you don't have to go anything too complicated. But yeah, if you want to get a board of terrain real easy, then use this stuff. So with his face, as you can see, again, a little bit of a framework in there, and just sort of building it up. Again, that's what I love about this sort of stuff. It's almost like a kind of a plasticine. So this stuff's been left for about 3-4 hours. So say the acetone is mostly evaporated. There's obviously still some in the very centre, but the outer edge has got a nice skin on it, so it is safe and easy to sort of manhandle, use, and sort of, well, prod and push around. And then using the cement glue, yeah, obviously that helps bond the stuff together. As I say, it is just a case of moving it around. So you can't make anything too sort of intricate or too detailed with this stuff. But say for something like this, a good old, well, kind of a big elephant, yeah, this stuff is absolutely awesome. And I've done a similar thing with the teeth for this dude. I kind of made them ahead of time, left them just, so again, this thing I made it in several sort of stages, where a lot of the stuff I made I couldn't use, but I knew I was going to use it sort of later on. So I made these teeth almost right at the very beginning of me making this thing. Well, when I made the toes, actually. Just so I knew they could sort of then harden, just so it makes it a lot easier to sort of put them in position, because I can push them without the fault of these things, well, just sort of squishing and going away from being, well, looking like teeth. So not too sure how many teeth I should have given him. I've just given him as many teeth as I could sort of put around, really. But yeah, love how they looked. Say it is a lot easier using them when they are sort of, well, nice and hard. And then just a case of making a bit more sort of armor for him, I guess, armor for his face. So yeah, again, in my head, I always break things down. Break them down, and then I know in my head I can just sort of like add bits to kind of get where I want. And I mean, it's the best thing to do when you are making a project of any kind, especially if it is something that involves, well, a lot of stages, a lot of parts, and to make it easier, break it down. So that's why I worked on the frame first, then worked on parts of the skin to go around it, then start working on the armor, and then just sort of add in more and more detail. So this is where sometimes these builds, I think, it can be nice and simple. Could get the framework done, obviously almost in next to no time. But it's all the other little bits that do make or take a lot more time. So with the gun, yeah, as you can see, it's just a panel that I've kind of like, well, put around my finger to get that nice round edge. And then that back cap, yeah, again, that was just a piece of, well, plastic sprue goo. So yeah, I always find it amazing though that I can take all these sprues and turn them into, well, this. And again, because the feel of the thing, because it is now sort of dried, it is just a hard plastic. And yeah, I surprise myself sometimes. Even though in my head I know I can make something, when I do get to this stage, it's like, yeah, I'm pleased with this. A little pat on my back. Why not? So, yeah, he's almost done. Yeah, painting. And as I said earlier, slap chop painting. That's going to work so well with the textured skin. So, good old priming in black. And then we'll do some, obviously, dry brushing in white. And then using some good old speed paints. We'll soon get this rather large, nice sucker done. With the dry brushing, yeah, I haven't done dry brushing for a while because obviously I'm doing less videos a week now. So yeah, yeah, I haven't done a lot of painting, especially with little miniatures. I really do need to start painting some more miniatures because I've got so many boxes still. Another reason I want to paint the miniatures is because, well, I want the sprues. Although, to be fair, some of the boxes I've got of miniatures, I have already cut out or cut round, and I've taken the outer edge sprue away. Just because I want to make more frames. But yeah, doing the dry brushing, as you can see, this really does show off the texture on the skin really, really well. And I say, really impressed and pleased with how that skin has come out, just because it looks, well, like skin, which is pretty cool. Nice and scaly, so I should really make a T-Rex. Or so, oh yeah, so that could be in the next one. An orc riding a T-Rex. Yeah, that could be on my list. But again, guys, honestly, let me know in the comments what you want to see me make. And yeah, if you can get this video to 100,000 views just by liking, sharing, leaving comments. I say the sharing bit, guys, if you can share this video, that helps me out, honestly, so much. Because obviously I get seen by more people, improve the views on this. And yeah, then I won't mind doing just sort of one video a week or even one video every other week. Because I am working on, well, bigger projects like this. Which I say, I really loved the working on this. I did have a lot of fun. Just because, again, it's a case of like pushing myself to sort of make something that's a bit different from what I normally make. But yeah, I'm really sort of pleased with how this dude come out. As I also the painting, speed paints. I absolutely love speed paints. They really do all the hard work. So we've got obviously variety in the green here. So on the outer raised areas, it's a nice lighter green. In all those nooks and crannies, yeah, definitely a darker green. So with this guy, obviously, say he has got quite a few areas that look like they are sort of wounds. So we're going to avoid going around those, as I want to sort of paint those a bit red later. Just to make it look like this dude, well, he's seen some action, which is going to be pretty cool. And obviously with the armour and stuff, yeah, you'll see me weather and bash that just because I do like the grimdark look. I like things to look like they've seen battle. These things haven't just walked out of a production line. These dudes have been in wars. I say, especially the fact that this guy has got some good old war wounds. Well, maybe I should have put some more damage in the actual metal. I'd considered sort of getting my Dremel drill out and just sort of cutting this up and putting little holes in. But I kind of like the look of the fact that it didn't have too much damage, I guess. So yeah, dry brushing with silver rather than doing a solid silver. Yeah, I don't want it to look, again, I don't want it to look too neat, too clean. So we're going with a dry brush look. And the other great thing with the silver, you can go over it still with the speed paints. So it almost gives it like a metallic kind of look. And that's the reason why I do love orcs, as I kind of say this in quite a few videos. With orcs, there's almost no right and wrong way to paint something. They seem to like bold colours. So even though they're going into war, they don't mind, well, being seen. Yeah, subtlety isn't their main sort of requisite, unless obviously they're the purple orcs, and then, well, you just can't see them. They're kind of invisible, well, or they think they are. So yeah, adding some colour to this is pretty cool. But obviously I do need to put in sort of like some hazard stripes. So that's what I'm going to do with the yellow here. And again, I'm not being too neat at all here. Still using the speed paints. Could have used the army range, sort of fanatic range, for a more solid colour. But I do like the fact that these colours aren't sort of like nice and neat. They do have darker and lighter areas. And as you'll see in a minute, once this is all done, I then go over the whole thing with like a black wash, just to sort of give it the distressed look. And then, well, then you'll see me give it even more of a distressed look after that. But I won't spoil that just yet. You can see that coming up, well, any kind of minute now. Yeah, hazard stripes. Yeah, these aren't the neatest of things. But again, it's an orc vehicle. Things don't need to be neat. So that's why, yeah, when it comes to making things with sprues, making sort of orc or Nurgle stuff is probably more suited for them, just because, well, it doesn't look neat. It doesn't look clean or precise. Again, that being said, I do want to have a go at making some Tyranids. So whether they're going to be a big boss Tyranid or some of the smaller little dudes, I'm not sure what I'm going to make with them. But the other thing I do want to make is a killer can. Again, good old orcs. So I've started making that. When that video comes out, I'm not too sure. Because again, if you guys mention something that I've not heard of, and I really like the sound of it, then there's a fair chance I'll get persuaded by you guys rather than making something I've already started on. But either way, we'll get there in the end. So yeah, when it comes to wash, I do probably go a little bit excessive on washes. Again, just because I do like things to look really beaten and bashed. Normally I use a brown wash. I seem to run out of brown washes. So yeah, I might need to have a little look up and see how I can make a big batch of tons of brown wash. So it's coming along quite nicely, but say I still want this to look even more cream crackered, and the best way I can do that, dirty down rust. Love this stuff. It's as messy as anything. So you'll see the cutting mat I've got here. It's my dirty down rust cutting mat because it's just, yeah, it's cream crackered. It's messed up. So with the dirty down rust, real simple, easy to use. Absolutely love this stuff. It's like magic in a bottle. I put it on neat, but then I wet my brush in the water just to sort of dilute areas. So this helps obviously dilute it by giving, so you get some areas that are really, really rusty, some areas less rusty, but you also get nice streak marks as well. Obviously, because the brush is nice and wet, this stuff will run, which is pretty cool. And yeah, it's just a case of going all over it. And again, I probably go too much, but this is where we're all different when it comes to painting. We all have a different sort of idea of what we like the look of. So yeah, you paint obviously your one how you want to paint it. And I'm painting mine how I want to paint mine. And then the last couple of things to do, go around sort of doing some dry brushing with some silver, just to obviously capture or hit the very sort of outer edges. Again, just to make the thing look like it was originally sort of metal underneath all that rust and that paint. So again, dry brushing, something very simple, very easy to do, but yeah, very effective. And then the last thing I want to do is where I've done all those little, little runes on this dude, just add some gloss varnish just to make them shine, make them look, well, kind of like they're wet and moist and, well, yeah, they're very sort of tendery, fleshy sort of bits. So just putting this on, although I guess I could have probably just used the old PVA glue, but the shiny one and not a matte one. So yeah, going around doing that over all the wounds, and yeah, I'm going to call that done. Absolutely love how this dude has come out. As I say, the feel of him, he's very light because obviously there's a the framework inside, but everything has dried now, so he is like a hard plastic, and he feels like a toy. I say sometimes I do surprise myself, and I'm very pleased with this dude. And I know I am patting myself on the back, but say I'm easily pleased. Love how he's come out. Love the fact that obviously you can still see some parts are still the Warhammer sprues, but other parts, yeah, it look like panels, corrugated fences, and yeah, just absolutely love how this dude's come out. So a nice mixture of, well, that textured skin and sort of like some metal looking bits. So yeah, quite a large build. So guys, this will be on my eBay if you did fancy owning something that I've made. Yeah, I'll be putting him sort of on that, well, in the next couple of days to give that a check out. But yeah, this dude has gone from being good old Warhammer 40k plastic into, well, something very, very usable, which I think is pretty cool. So guys, like, share, comment, all that kind of stuff. I say, this video hits 100,000 views, then I will make a start on the big old Titan. As always, a big old shout out and thank you to all my patrons for helping support the channel. It really does mean a lot to me. It means I can continue being a big kid and, well, making videos like this. There's another video on the screen. Give that a click and see more of what I do. Okay guys, bye now.